You know, cars are designed to make our lives easier, faster, safer, more comfortable. Well, at least that's the idea. But today, we'll list 5 cars where logic failed. It's moments like these that make you wonder, what were those engineers thinking? From doors that won't open, to gas tanks that turn the car into a fireball, these cars prove that even big companies can make truly stupid mistakes. So get comfortable. Like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell to stay updated on new episodes. Now, let's go.
Number 5. 1979 Lincoln Continental Mark V. And if I had to choose a car that symbolized the excesses of the late 1970s, it would be this one. When it was first shown, the public literally gasped. Its gigantic size, the long hood, the gleaming chrome on every inch of the body. It was perceived not as a means of transportation, but as a luxury yacht on wheels. But behind all this elegance lurked what today would be considered one of the most ridiculous engineering solutions. This monster weighed almost 2.5 tons. The doors alone were the size of a kitchen table, and when you opened them, it seemed like the car was about to tip over. The interior featured soft seats, carpets, wood trim, and gold-plated handles. Everything sparkled, everything glittered. One could only dream. But then you press the gas pedal, and you realize this champion of luxury is slower than a tractor. Under the hood is a huge V8 engine, but only 159 horsepower. For such a colossus, that's simply laughable. Acceleration from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes an eternity. The car doesn't get in the way, it slowly accelerates time around itself. And now pay attention. Fuel consumption. Almost 30 liters per 100 kilometers? 30! That's more than some trucks. And all for the sake of driving around the block and feeling like the king of the road? Lincoln advertised the Mark V as a car for true gentlemen. But frankly, driving it was like parking a yacht on dry land. On turns, it behaved like a ship in a storm, and braking distances were measured in meters, tens of meters. And here's the real irony. At a time when the entire world was switching to fuel-efficient, lightweight, and modern cars, Lincoln decided to make them even bigger, even heavier, and even more fuel-guzzling. But the Mark V didn't go unnoticed. This car became a symbol of the end of an era when Americans believed in the principle, bigger is better. It looked expensive and seemed prestigious, but it was completely impractical and out of place. Today, the Mark V evokes mixed feelings, admiration for its design, and a complete incomprehension of the logic of its creators. This isn't just a car, it's a farewell letter to the era of chrome, gasoline, and insane ambition. And perhaps that's why it deserves a place on our list of the stupidest automotive failures in history.
Number 4. 1956 BMW Isetta. And tell me honestly, when you hear BMW, you imagine a powerful engine, dynamics, German quality. Now forget all that, because the Isetta isn't a car, it's a capsule of bold decisions, where one wrong move and you're trapped in your own genius. BMW's idea seemed noble, to make a compact, cheap, and fuel-efficient car for post-war Europe when gasoline was more expensive than bread. But at some point, the engineers apparently decided to see if they could finally push their strange ideas to the limit. Let's start with the most famous. The Isetta has only one door. And no, it's not in the front. It's in the front. Yes, the front of the car opens completely forward, like a refrigerator. The steering wheel and steering column turn along with it. So you literally enter the car as if you were stepping into a closet. It sounds funny until you get into an accident. If someone hits your front end, congratulations, you're now trapped inside. No emergency exit, no escape hatch, nothing. The only way out is to hope someone on the outside pulls you out of this tin can. But the weirdness doesn't end there. The engine is tiny, a single cylinder, producing only 13 horsepower. Top speed is about 85 kilometers an hour, but that's only if you're going downhill and with a tailwind. And yet, inside, there's room for just 2 people and 1 bag. Everything else is the engine, frame, and door through which you risk your life every time you drive out onto the road. And yet, despite this crazy design, the Isetta has become incredibly popular. People loved it for its economy, its style, and the fact that it looked like a toy transported to the real world. For BMW, the Isetta was the car that saved the company, which was on the brink of bankruptcy at the time. But history remembers it as one of the strangest and most illogical cars ever created. A car where even a door is an adventure. A true capsule of madness on 3.5 wheels.
Number 3, 1955 Chrysler Imperial. At first glance, it's a solid American sedan, a symbol of responsibility, confidence, and post-war wealth. Big, shiny, with a powerful engine and tons of chrome. It would have been perfect, but no. What Chrysler engineers had in mind was that a conventional gearshift lever was too boring, so they came up with buttons. Yes, you heard right. The transmission was controlled by push buttons on the dashboard. 4 buttons: drive, reverse, neutral, and low. In theory, it sounds futuristic. In reality, it's a disaster on wheels. First, these buttons often stuck. Press drive, and nothing. The car just stood there. Press harder, and it moved, but in reverse. Several buttons remembered your last action and automatically changed gears once you were moving. Imagine, you're pulling out of a parking space, and suddenly the car decides it's time to engage reverse. Yes, such incidents have actually happened. Secondly, the clock itself was located next to the radio, so it was easy to mix it up. One careless driver thought he was just changing the station, but instead shifted into R and crashed into a neighboring Cadillac. Furthermore, Chrysler advertised this as the pinnacle of technological advancement. Shifting gears is now as easy as pushing a button. It sounded cool until someone pushed the 60-mile-per-hour button. To be fair, the car itself wasn't bad. Comfortable, powerful, and looked expensive. But because of those buttons, the Imperial became a liability, making the desire to be innovative a sham. Chrysler later abandoned the idea, of course, but the after effects remained. Today, the 1955 Imperial is a rare, beautiful, but slightly dangerous relic of an era when manufacturers still believed that new always meant better. Ironically, those very buttons are the first thing people think of when they think of this car. So yes, the Chrysler Imperial made history not for its luxury and power, but for its buttons that could send you direct messages in case of trouble.
Number 2. Amphicar Model 770, 1962. And if you think that name sounds like amphibious, you're absolutely right. It's a car that could float. In theory, it was a brilliant idea. You're driving along the road, you see a river, and you think, why not just float? No bridges, no ferries, just turn on the propellers and go. But in practice, it turned out much wetter. The Amphicar really could float. The only problem was that it did it poorly, very poorly. The engine was weak, only 43 horsepower, mounted in the rear and used to power the wheels and water propels. On land, it was slow. On water, it was even slower. Top speed on water, about 11 kilometers per hour. And if there's a wave, then congratulations, you're no longer a driver, but a sailor on a rescue mission. The Amphicar was constantly leaking, through the seals, through the hatches, even through the headlights. The owners joked that he needed a bucket and a rag on every train. And here's the paradox. The idea seemed incredibly cool, especially for the 60s. The ads showed a happy family driving straight out onto a lake and sailing into the sunset. But in reality, within 10 minutes, panic set in. Hey guys, I think we're sinking. But despite all this, the Amphicar sold. More than 3,800 people bought it, mostly in the US. I liked the idea itself, a car boat, no matter that it only worked half the time. It's interesting that the Amphicar was officially considered both a car and a boat. This means owners have to register it twice, both with the court and with the naval service. In the end, the Amphicar became not a revolution, but a joke, a symbol of how the dream of versatility can end at the bottom of the river. Today, these cars remain only in the hands of collectors and enthusiasts who value not their practicality, but their sheer madness. Because the Amphicar 770 isn't just a failure.
It's a car that literally went under for glory.
Number 1. 1980 Chevrolet Citation. When it came out, General Motors loudly declared, "This is the future of the auto industry leader. Compact, front-wheel drive, fuel-efficient, the perfect car for a new era." When gas prices rise, people want something smart and modern. But what was considered a revolution ended up being one of GM's biggest disgraces. The Citation looked good: a boxy body, a spacious interior, and modern front-wheel drive. On paper, it was a dream. But once these cars reached actual buyers, the dream turned into a nightmare. The first thing owners noticed was the simply terrible build quality. The doors wouldn't close properly, the dashboard rattled, and in some cars, the transmission literally fell apart after just a few thousand kilometers. The brakes seized, the engine shook, and the transmission took on a life of its own. Even the new front-wheel drive system, that very revolution, was constantly breaking down and leaking. But the most hilarious thing happened when journalists got involved. The renowned American publication Consumer Reports test drove the Citation and wrote outright, "This car is dangerous." Under sharp turns, for the first time, it could lose control and skid. And so, instead of admitting their mistake, General Motors decided to blame the journalists for improper testing. Yes, you heard right. They said the car was improperly tested. After this, the Citation's reputation completely collapsed. Of the 800,000 cars sold, thousands were returned to the archives, and their value simply rotted away in the backyards of dealerships. Ultimately, the model was discontinued in the mid-1980s. The Citation name itself became a byword, a symbol of a cheap, unreliable, and unsuccessful car. Today, it's remembered with a smirk, as a car that promised to change everything, but only succeeded in changing people's attitude toward the Chevrolet company. The reasons for the Citation's validity? Sometimes a new generation is simply old problems in a new package.